Hi, I'm back for part 3 now. I've just done a little bit more work on my my twig. And hi, sorry, it's Annie Musgrove. I'm just showing you a few ideas about how to do some botanical drawing. This is part 3, and I've just done a little bit more on my twig, giving it a bit of texture in places, still maintaining that the underside of the twig is darker than the top of the twig to try and give it its three-dimensional appearance. And I started work on the buds since I last saw you, and so I just do this. I left one of these buds for you. The idea with the buds is similar to the twig in that the bud is a solid object, and so we need to make sure we get that solidity. So get a good shape to this bud, following the shape round very faintly with my pencil. I'm using an HB pencil actually, and then I'm going to shade it in. So just readjusted that shape where the bud joins the twig. It's to be a little bit more roundy. You didn't get it right first time, so it's fine. You can keep adjusting it. Slight point on my bud, so I'm trying to show that as well. Okay, so where the bud is in shade, I'm going to make that a darker edge, and to give it its solidity, I'm going to really look carefully to see where it's lightest, and the light is striking the bud at the top. So I'm just going to shade that in now, and there we go. Thought I was going to get an interruption to doing this. Right, there we go. So I'm shading it in. You can practice doing this with a circle, seeing if you can make a circle go from a flat object to being a ball. So it's quite a fun thing to practice doing, really. So where you leave it lightest is going to help give it a 3D dimension. So there we go. Going to use my matchstick a little bit just to blend it in. It's a good little blender, a matchstick. And you can see, going from, just done that fairly quickly for you, but you can see I've gone from a 3D image, from a 2D image to a 3D image by making one side a lot darker than the other and just looking carefully about where the light strikes it. Can just use the very tip of my pencil to outline a little bit underneath. So I've now just got to do that last little bit where it joins the stem. So again, I'm going to look really carefully. I'm not going to make it as dark as the bud, because in my case it isn't, and then it joins the stem. Just need that little bit doing. So you probably, I don't know if you can see that I've done the whole of the stem and the buds now, given them some texture. Because it's a pencil drawing, it will smudge, so you do need to keep your rubber handy for cleaning up the edges, because it will smudge. And at the end, you could, if you really liked it and you wanted to save it, you could, and you had some, you could use some hairspray, spray it with hairspray, and it would fix it so it wouldn't smudge in future. So the last little bit on this clip I'm going to show you is how to do the catkin that I've got. You may or may not have a catkin. I am going to come in the last session, so go and have a look at doing those leaves as well. So for the catkin, I'm going to use quite a faint pencil. If you've got one, something like a 2H would be quite good. Nice faint pencil. I'm going to first of all show where the catkin joins onto the stem of the twig, and I'm going to just put a very faint outline of the catkin kind of shape that I can see, and okay, so just readjust the shape. I'm not going to worry too much about those little fluffy bits that stick out, the hairy bits of seeds. I'm just going to do the main shape. So when I look at it, I can see that the catkin is darker under here at the bottom of the catkin, and it's lighter on the top. So first of all, I'm going to shade it really lightly as if it's a solid object. So I'm just going to put a look with my faint pencil. I'm just going to put a bit of graphite down, not very much, because it's much lighter and much more delicate than the twig. So I'm just going to put a little bit of graphite down like this into the faint shape, concentrating the most graphite at the bottom where it's going to be a bit darker. And I make, because on my catkin there's a direction to the seeds, I'm going to make my marks kind of follow that direction, okay, rather than just go round and round. There we go. So I've got a bit of graduation. I'm hoping this matchstick's going to do the trick, that I can now do the same thing with matchstick, just spread the graphite up the catkin. It doesn't really look much like a catkin at the moment. The idea is it looks like a kind of three-dimensional little shape resembling the catkin shape, and it's shaded in. Okay, it's darker at the bottom and lighter at the top. That's pretty well it. I'm not sure I've quite got the shape right there, so I'm just going to adjust that shape. That's not a problem. Never a problem to adjust a shape. Just shade it in, and then I'll rub out the bits you don't want. And I've got a little bit that's gone over its edge here. Just going to give that little rub. So now I've got, you can see, I've got a kind of ball shape going on here. Like a, I don't know, it's like rugby football. And I think I'm going to use the H pencil, the hard pencil now, to put on some extra little marks. So I'm going to put the marks on now for the end of the catkin, like lots of little dots. It won't be in exactly the right place. I mean, it's nature, isn't it? You know, can't look at every single blade of grass. But I'm putting some little dots on with my sharp H pencil. Okay, to look like those little seed things, maybe they're seeds, the fluffy bits. So it's now got a more of a sort of fluffy texture on the end. And then I've got a bit more of fluffy texture going on in here where it joins the stem. And then I've got this complication of some of the seeds have started to kind of come away. So I'm going to have to draw those on with my pencil so that they are like little marks, squiggly marks, you know, following the shape of them. And it's just a question of just, you know, if you can put makeup on, you can draw, because you generally put it, you know, without really looking that hard, you just generally put it on in the right place. So look at the object you're drawing and put on some little squiggly marks in kind of roughly the right place. Make sure you've got a nice hard pencil, because that makes it a nice sharp pencil, sorry, I meant to say, because that makes life much easier. You get the mark that you're intending. And there we go, we're sort of building that up now. Got all day, there's no rush, I'm not going anywhere. Building that up now to get all those little fluffy marks on top of the shading that you did initially. Okay, you can see starting to build it up. So I'll leave you there doing that. Come back to doing the leaves in a minute. Okay, good luck with that. I hope you've got a catkin to do. They're quite fun because they've got a lovely little texture.